Good afternoon. Welcome to the Pasquale Project. I am your host, Zeb Pasquale. Episode 7. I'm going to read something a friend of mine wrote several months ago. Earlier this week, I spent some time with a couple of lifelong friends I've known for over 20 years and realized that it was 2 months on that day when I was told there was no more options in modern medicine and was given just months to live. I had to undergo 3 brutal months of back-to-back intensive chemotherapy infusions in final efforts to survive. The treatment didn't work, and my last resort is surgery, which carries an extremely high fatality rate because I've had too many intestinal resections and don't have any more to work with. And if I were to survive that, the best case scenario would leave me with a colostomy bag and my living off a feeding tube, as my body would no longer be able to absorb nutrients, nor would be able to retain fluids. That poor quality of life is not an option for me because I would rather spend my last days living naturally, as God intended. I have been doing just that, spending every waking moment with friends and family, volunteering my time in helping newly diagnosed patients with incurable diseases and showing them that I am living proof that doctors don't know it all. I've been blessed and honored to have lived with what you would consider multiple lifetimes. In my last update, I revealed that I chose to let life take its natural course. Physicians warned me that quitting medicine cold turkey after 25 years would put my body into shock, but I'm still here, alive and kicking and feeling better than I have ever felt. So far, I've provided a watered-down account of what I've been going through, but I have this overwhelming need to give a full disclosure. I am notorious for being outrageously positive and always having a smile on my face, but inside I've gone through incomprehensible torture. On top of the morbid weight loss of 45 pounds within those months of aggressive chemo, I had to endure frequent episodes of syncope, seizures, panic attacks, broke a tooth after collapsing at the edge of a sidewalk, and even went blind for a couple days. Yeah, that last one was the scariest situation I've ever suffered. Waking up and not being able to see left me utterly beside myself. Can you imagine suddenly losing your sight one day? I wouldn't wish that experience on my worst enemy. There are just no words to describe that hysteria. Yet, that was way easier to withstand compared to how I grieved emotionally. With immediate death being a very real possibility, I prepared a will, wrote letters to all my loved ones, and even started to plan for my own funeral. I'm trembling so bad right now, just writing this, knowing that my next flare-up could very well be my last. All that being said, my message to you is to please live life as if there is no tomorrow. Forgive anyone who has done you wrong. Give everything in you to help others, whether it be through prayers, thoughts, donations, and most importantly, time, because that is not guaranteed to any of us. Each day I open my eyes, I am filled with so much light and gratitude. I fully dedicate and surrender myself to God in hopes that I can serve as an inspiration in taking advantage of our moments here on earth. I am not supposed to be here right now, but I'm not going to stop fighting. I have not a penny to my name, yet have been blessed with an unimaginable wealth of love and in understanding. I share my vulnerabilities and struggles to let you know that living is worth it. Life is worth it. End quote. I chose my next guest because obviously we share an extremely powerful and life-changing, paradigm-shifting experience through a essentially fatal diagnosis. Unlike my other guests, I've known them all for years, and we keep in touch. I've known Lana for longer than any of them, but we didn't talk for like...
This is our third time hanging
Exactly,
out.
yeah. And so I knew her in high school, which was like 5 years ago, and we hadn't...
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I knew her in high school, we met a few times, and then life happened, and it's been over 20 years, right? Facebook happened, reconnected, and I saw that she traveled a lot, and then she saw that I traveled a lot, and we just started messaging, and it was cool because the common thread originally was that I want to travel more, and I saw that she traveled a lot, and then you told me that you were a travel journalist for Condé. Am I pronouncing this right? Condé Nast?
Condé Nast Publications.
Yeah,
Condé Nast Traveler Magazine. Yep.
I think that's I thought that was awesome. And then all of a sudden she comes out with this GoFundMe page, and I read that, and I was floored. So then I didn't want to tell her all my details, and it just occurred to us today that I didn't tell
I still don't know his details.
So, but I think
we're learning.
Yeah, but the message is important. Every word that she said in that expose was important. I'd be lying if I said I felt it's hard to find someone who can relate to something like that. So basically, when I was 23, my kidneys failed. A lot of my friends tried to come to my rescue with the help of my mom to try to donate a kidney to me, but because I'm type O, none of them. I can only take from a type O, and of course, all my friends were either A, B, or type AB. 2 of them were type O's. 1 of them matched a girl, and we still keep in touch to this day. I still take her out every April 21st. I gave her away at her wedding.
Oh, was that your surgery day?
That was
April
my surgery
21st?
day. Yep, that was my surgery day. And so, and that changed a lot of things for me. I before that, I lived life scared, and I was hesitant all the time, and was just generally I was perfectionistic. I didn't want to do anything, and yeah, it was bad. But after that, I made a promise to her that I would live every day without regret, every moment without regret, and I can say that I have, and it's been great. And it's very hard to convey that to people, to kind of walk around accepting and assuming that you can die at any second, even though that should be the case for everyone. There's nothing like a life-threatening diagnosis to really just bring it out to light, right? So,
well, damn, that's daunting that someone else is giving you their organ,
Yeah,
and you have to live up to. I mean, you have to live a life. You had it easier than I did because I didn't depend on anyone for a freaking organ.
Well, because that's the thing too. That was the nature of her just altruism and compassion, and that she never asked me for any of that. That was all me. You know what I mean? Like that was me saying to her, "You save me. The life you save will not be in vain. Like I will live with no regrets ever." And you know, it's
How do
just
you
like
know that before you even get that transplant?
I know, it's nuts. Yeah, it's nuts. But so basically, first of all, welcome, Lana.
Hi.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, and this is super cool. Thank you for being on the show.
Of course.
This is a kind of new venture for me. I love doing the podcast. I have so much fun, and I learn so much from every person that's on.
And I have no idea what I'm doing.
This is Lana's first podcast.
Pardon me if I sound like a buffoon.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you heard my first episode, I tell people all the time, it literally sounds like I got shut up with so many drugs because I'm so nervous and so edgy. And even now, this is episode 8, and it's still I'm still working kinks out and everything. But
it's kind of like we're new. We're like this is new. We don't have many conversations.
No.
This is our 4th time having a real conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's being recorded.
Yeah, it's being recorded. And that's the dichotomy of the social media thing, because you can share with essentially the world and still kind of keep in touch, but with absent the actual human interaction. But that's why I feel like this is important. And I wanted you on the show because of what you wrote. And I can relate to it. And I know that there's other people out there who can relate to it, whether they had a diagnosis or whether they had a some kind of life-threatening situation, or it's just their general default mindset. But I wanted to bring you on to talk about that. You know, I wanted to dig into a little bit. But before I do that, and what I do for all guests, can you give us a little background? Like, where were you born? Where were you raised?
Oh, yeah. I was born, raised in Hollywood.
Yeah.
To a single mom.
Okay.
A Filipino mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a middle child of 3 other girls, 3 baby daddies. My mom was busy.
Good job, Mom.
So my dad was Irish, and I look nothing like anyone in my family. And I've always been called the unicorn of my family, because it's just like, what? Who is she? Where'd she come from?
Yeah, Lana is very hard to discern.
Yeah. No one ever knows where I'm from. Actually, no. Everywhere I go, like if I'm in France, I'm French. If I'm in Italy, I'm Italian.
I can see that.
Only place I can't get away with it is India.
Okay. Yeah.
I was South African, white South African in Africa. Yeah. But other than that, I just blend in. It's either I blend in or stick out like a sore thumb. Either way, I'm comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
I've always been just a crazy maniac.
Mm-hmm.
And I took life for granted before I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease.
Okay.
And I was diagnosed at 14. 14. And before that, oh my God, I was the biggest brat because I got away with so much. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but my family would always say, okay, she's like this pretty little mestiza girl that could get away with anything. Mm-hmm. So I would run
Can you describe what mestiza means?
Mestiza is... What is a mestiza? I guess someone that look from what I know, a Filipino that looks Spanish. That's
Okay.
like a half-breed. You can't really discern where they're from.
Got it.
Come on, you have a definition for me.
I'm thinking the root word of mestiza is mysterious, or
Oh.
so that's immediately where I went. Like, you can't, they are of mysterious origin, or you cannot tell where they are from. That's where I went immediately.
That's
But
good.
yeah, I could see that.
I'm like, I went to like the Mayan dictionary for that one. No, I really don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, my two other sisters are just full Filipino, and so like I got away with everything. My mom would let me just eat hamburgers and French fries and just be naughty, and from the age of like 5, I would be the adult of the family.
How?
So I would take care of everyone.
Okay.
Even
though you were the middle?
Even though I was a middle child, I was never treated as a middle child. I had the silliness and okay, now you got me nervous.
That's okay. That's all right. Okay, so you're the middle child. Your parents look to you automatically to take care of
No,
them.
not just the parents. I mean, I had 11 aunts and uncles.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so was it always like, shit's going down, Lana, what do we do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the only person before me that had any kind of authority was my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the right-hand man of the president at the time.
Okay.
And
President of the Philippines?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he made millions and billions of dollars, and we had this island in the Philippines, but no one thought to invest anything.
Yeah.
And I always asked my mom and my aunts, like, why don't they have any businesses?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, we have money. We don't need to invest in anything. Like, well, your money's going to run out soon. So what are you going to do when it does? And, you know, within a few years, all of it was gone. Everyone was on welfare.
Oh, man.
And Social Security. And no one's ever been successful since.
Yeah. So then that's you coming up.
That's me coming up.
And then 14, was it just a random doctor visit?
No, I was actually living at my aunt's house in Pasadena.
Okay.
And I lost 15 pounds in 3 days.
Oh, wow.
But I was eating so much, and my Lola, my grandmother, was like, you have to take Lana to the hospital. There's something wrong with her. She must have like a tapeworm or something. There's something eating at her.
Yeah.
So they took me to Kaiser Permanente.
Yep.
And in 1994, Crohn's disease wasn't easily diagnosed. It's not easily diagnosed now.
Yeah.
You know, there's no blood strain or CT scan where you could pick it up. It's just symptomatic.
That's crazy.
So,
they took you to the hospital.
They took me to the hospital, and okay, you're gonna make me cry. I wasn't prepared for this.
Sorry.
Okay, mind you, no one in my family, out of all of these 11 aunts and uncles and 50 some odd cousins, no one has ever been sick more than a cold or a flu.
Yeah.
And here I am going for a colonoscopy, going for an endoscopy, having stuff shoved in and out, and having all this terminology thrown at me. And doctors having to say, we're going to have to go in there and surgically remove some of your intestines because it's perforated.
So it happened fast. Like,
it happened so quick. I didn't even know what the word perforation was, and I was like, what are you talking about, doctor? Like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Just let me be. I just need to go outside and play. And they're like, no, you have holes in your intestine, and those holes are going to leak throughout your entire body.
Yeah.
And all of those acids and all of those just things that aren't supposed to be roaming around are going to go in your body and kill you.
Yeah.
And what 14-year-old thinks they're going to die?
Right.
You know, and I at 14, I was so accomplished already. I was a cheerleader. I was a head cheerleader in my high school. I was the leader of my academic decathlon. I was a bitch.
Okay. Okay.
Because I was a popular kid.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you know, here's a girl that no one could figure out.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that about me. I loved keeping that kind of mystery.
Yeah.
And then just to come down from that cloud 9.
Yeah.
God, I hit the ground so hard when I realized the doctor said that, you know, I am human after all. I'm not invincible.
Yeah.
Like I had been raised to be or thought I was. Okay, ask questions. I'll
Okay.
answer.
So you go in the hospital. You're 14. They do some tests. I can only imagine that the only way they knew the intestines were perforated is because they did ultrasounds or.
No, actually, they did an exploratory laparotomy.
Okay.
Which is basically a medical term for I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I'm gonna open this girl up and see what's going on.
Yeah.
So they cut.
What were the symptoms? Do you remember that? Like, because they wouldn't do something like that unless it was.
They would. I mean, actually, I had an appendix. They thought it was an appendix that had burst.
Okay.
I did have an appendicitis, but that was the least of their worries once they got in there.
So you did have appendicitis?
I did have an appendicitis.
Okay.
It burst as soon as they opened me up.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But once they got that under control and stitched me up and did the sutures and, you know, thought that was it. That was the reason why I was losing weight. That was the reason why I was sick. That was the reason why I was down. Then they found maybe 2 feet of my intestines just they didn't understand how food was passing, how fluids were passing.
Yeah.
And
that's where
obviously it wasn't because my intestines weren't absorbing any nutrients or any kind of fluids.
Yeah.
And so they had to go in there and, oh God, I don't want to get just gross with it, but there was just so much abscess throughout my body. Just picture like a suction, like a vacuum suction going inside of your stomach where they're not supposed to be, surrounding your lungs and your kidneys and your gallbladders and I don't even know what the anatomy is of a human body or a stomach or gastrointestinal. It's disgusting. That's why.
Yeah, that's all right.
Even though I've gone through it and I've gone through 3 surgeries to dissect and have my intestines just resect and put back together again. I just can't stand the thought of thinking how those fluids were just all around where they shouldn't have been.
Yeah. So this is okay. So obviously this all happened in the moment. You're 14. You're on the table. Did they? Obviously they had to put you out.
Yeah.
So they told you about this. Like you found out about this later when you woke up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I know it's a long time ago, and I know it's hard.
It is, and I haven't thought about it. And before we even started this podcast, I told you I've not done any of my research.
Yeah.
I haven't looked back at any of the stories that I wrote.
Yeah.
And I haven't told the story in maybe a decade.
Yeah.
Maybe even more.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, that wasn't even the hardest part of it. Like the first surgery, I thought that was going to be it. Like, okay, great, you got it. You got the Crohn's disease. You got the bad part of my intestine. You sewed it back up, and I'll be fine, right? Okay, great. Go on with my life. Mm-hmm. And 5 years later, I didn't know it could come back.
So you're 19.
I'm 19, and I'm sure they told me that it was incurable and that they didn't know much about the disease.
Yeah.
But there was like a growth that I saw outside of my stomach, and it was the size of a tennis ball. And it was purple.
Yeah.
It's like an alien trying to come out of my freaking stomach. I don't know if I could curse, so I'm gonna try to limit that.
You can. You can. There's like filters and explicit stuff. iTunes actually gets mad at me when I don't tell them I curse, so I just tell them every episode has
something.
Stuff.
Something in it.
So you find an alien.
Yeah, so the alien's there, You're so retarded.
That's
Zeb.
funny. And then what do you do?
So then I go into Cedar Sinai, and they drain the abscess.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, well, great. So I have. Okay, I don't like this.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. So how about this? Let's instead of the physical stuff, can you go back to 14 and what was it? What was going through your mind as they told you that you had it? Like, what was the mental reaction?
I thought it sucked that they were going to do surgery on me because that would mean I'd have to get rid of my belly button piercing.
I see. Yeah.
I would always wear like crop tops and just show off my six pack because I wasn't athletic, but if I did work out, it would show.
Yeah.
And so I would show off. I would just show off that rock hard stomach. And when they told me they had to cut into me, I was like, no, what am I going to show off now? Like, I have no boobs. I have no ass.
Yeah.
I have my stomach to show off.
That's funny.
You know, people have their assets.
Sure. So
it was just strictly just superficial for me.
Yeah. And then was it different at 19?
Well, yeah, it was different at 19 because that's when they told me that, well, not they told me, that's when I realized that it was going to be, that Crohn's disease was going to live with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And after they had drained the abscess, maybe like a year later, they had to go back and do a colonoscopy and do an endoscopy.
Okay.
And they saw that another 2 feet of my intestine had been perforated.
Man.
So between my small bowel and my small intestine and large intestine, they call it the terminal ileum, where those two meet. They had to resect a foot of the small and a foot of the large.
Yeah.
And when they did that, we thought we were in the clear.
Okay.
So I had a surgery. It was quote unquote successful.
Yep.
But 2 days later, I kept telling the doctors, there's something wrong. Like I don't feel right.
Yeah.
Like this isn't like I'm hurting. You guys need to do something. They're like, no, it's just post-operational pain. This is normal for anyone to go through major surgery the way that you did. And I was like, okay, fine. Let me just wait it out. And an hour later, the doctors come into the room and they're like, we're gonna have to do a blood transfusion on you.
Yeah.
Why? I'm fine. I just need to walk around, watch me, and against the doctor's orders I just got up out of the hospital bed. I stood up and I said, look, I just need the blood to start circulating through my veins. Then you don't need to pump me full of more blood. It just needs to circulate. And as soon as I stood up, I fell back down again. And I remember the nurses stabbing my feet, but I couldn't feel anything. Like, what are these nurses doing? They're taking their pens, they're stabbing my feet. My mom is at the shoulder of my bed, or I'm sorry, no, I already had collapsed on the floor. So she's at my shoulder. 2 nurses were at my feet trying to get a response out of me.
Yeah.
And when I look down, I see the nurse crying, and she's going on the hospital phone crying out, code blue, code blue. And I remember seeing that in like a CSI episode, that code blue meant a patient was dying. Like someone, like we need a doctor.
And the nurse was crying?
The nurse was crying.
Oh, man.
She was going hysterical.
Yeah.
And my mom was inconsolable.
Of course.
She was like, don't take my daughter. Please, God, take me instead. Take me instead. Don't take my daughter. She hasn't done anything to deserve this. And like all the while I'm thinking that I'm telling these people, guys, I could hear you. Guys, I'm alive. Guys, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But then like a doctor rushes in. He sheds a flashlight in both my eyes, and he's starting to scream. She's unresponsive. We are losing her.
Wow.
And I'm awake. I'm like, what the fuck? You guys aren't losing me. I'm right here. But I couldn't say anything. I couldn't move anything. I had no sensations. But in my mind, I could hear everything they say and everything that they want to do. And the next thing I hear the doctor say is, we need to open her up. Right here, right now. I'm like, wait, no. I just had surgery 3 days ago. You fuckers just fixed me. I just went through a bowel resection. You cut off the perforated part. You put it back together. I'm fine now. What are you talking about? You have to open me up again. So mind you, the scar is completely new, completely just, I mean, it was raw.
Yeah.
So they didn't even need a scalpel to open me up. He literally took the stitches and ripped it off.
Did you
I mean,
feel it?
just imagine like a thread of your sweater.
Yes.
You take that thread and it all unravels.
Yeah. That's how new it was.
That's how new it was.
Did you feel it?
Every single bit of it.
Oh man. And you couldn't respond.
And I couldn't say. I couldn't tell them, dear Lord, this fucking hurts.
Yeah.
Like I can feel everything that you're doing. I could feel every tingle. I could feel every like hair, everything. I could feel everything, and I couldn't say. I couldn't scream. I couldn't tell them that I understand what you're doing, and like I could feel you just take apart my skin and open up my stomach, and it's 12 inches of incision, so it's from like my chest up like down to my like 6 inches below my belly button and 6 inches above my belly button, completely exposed. And he opened me up because not because of complications of Crohn's, but because I had a blood clot. And they didn't stitch me up properly.
Oh, God.
So I was bleeding internally.
Yeah.
So what they had to do was, I'm not on an operating table. They can't see CT scans. They can't see x-rays. They have to go by feel, by, what they could see, what they could touch.
Yeah.
So I'm lying there completely open. I'm awake during live surgery.
Yeah.
And they don't think that I could feel anything.
Right.
But because they don't know where the bleed is coming from, they take out all of the organs in my stomach.
Oh my God.
I know. I didn't tell you this part.
That's okay.
Zeb.
That's okay.
Like I'm not. You're probably like the third person after my family that knows this.
Yeah.
But they took out all of my intestines, like the kidneys, the gallbladders, the lungs, everything. They placed it on top of my chest. Not only did I feel every finger that was in my cavity, I saw my own intestines on top of my own chest while they're trying to find a bleed, and they're going through the intestines, just feeling it out with their fingers to see where it's coming from, and they finally find it, and that's when. Okay, and by this time there's 12 doctors in the room.
Yeah.
So there's the nurse that called for code blue, a doctor that responds immediately. He calls the chief of surgery, chief of gastroenterology. This is at Cedar Sinai. And I just remember being doused with saline.
Yeah.
And what's that red iodine
Iodine.
to sterilize as much as they can, because they're essentially operating on me on dirty, filthy hospital room floor.
Yeah.
And no one had time to, scrub in or wash their hands for 15 minutes and sanitize. So I see at least 6 sets of hands with red iodine all over their hands, and I'm thinking it's my blood. I'm like, oh my God, I'm bleeding out, and these doctors are struggling to find, where this loss is coming from. And the next thing I hear is, we lost her.
Oh my God. You heard it.
I heard them say, she's gone. We lost her. And so I was gone for 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Okay.
And I still have that, because I had an EKG. What do you call those things when they try to monitor your heart rate? I don't know. My heart wasn't cooperating after the surgery, so they had that on me so they could tell whether my blood pressure was spiking or whatever. And I have that framed on top of my bed still.
Wow.
Of my flatlining.
Wow.
And during that 2 minutes, I was immediately warped into this completely peaceful, serene, bright white light space. Like when you hear people talking about the white light when they pass, that shit's real.
Okay.
Like it wasn't a tunnel for me.
Yeah.
I was like, I could best describe it as a rose petal.
Okay.
Like I was on a rose petal, a human-sized rose petal, and I was floating upwards into heaven. Yeah. And I was thinking, oh God, thank God I don't feel the pain anymore. I don't feel all of the doctors probing into me and poking me with all of their tools and whatever, what have you. I don't hear my mom crying to take her instead of me. I feel so happy and just
relief.
Absolute relief. And as soon as I get up there, I see my grandfather, who'd passed like 2 weeks before me. And I was like, Lolo. Lolo, grandfather in Tagalog.
Yeah.
You're here to welcome me. This is awesome. What's heaven like? Tell me all about it.
Yeah.
And in Tagalog, he said, I'm not going to butcher it, but he basically said, Lana, I'm sorry you had to go through this. It's not your time.
Oh my God.
And as soon as he said, it's not your time, I was zapped back into that hospital room. And by that time, like my aunt was there, who helped my mom raise me. My 2 sisters were there. My 3 closest cousins were there. And all of them were crying hysterically.
Yeah.
And the doctors just say, we got her back. We need to move, like, stat.
Yeah.
So when I wake up, I'm in a gurney.
Yeah.
And I finally can speak now.
Yeah.
Like, I told the doctor, I felt everything you just did to me. I heard everything you said to me. I heard every word that the nurses had to say to you.
Yeah.
And every attending, or what all the residents had to say. I heard and felt it all. And he had to excuse himself.
No.
This is the chief of surgery at Cedars-Sinai, who sees this shit like at least multiple times on a daily basis. And I look at him and I say, can you please fix me?
Yeah.
And he couldn't look at me long enough to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
He just had to leave the room. And I heard him murmur, to the anesthesiologist, like put her out. And I was out, and I was in a coma for 3 days.
Oh God! So he didn't even answer you when you asked him?
No. I asked him. I said, can you please fix me?
Yeah.
And he could not. Of course, he didn't have the answer. He didn't know if I was gonna live through that. He couldn't say, yes, everything's gonna be fine. I'll bring you back. Your life's gonna be, like this. This never happened.
Yeah.
Like, he could not say yes or no, because I'm lying there with an open cavity. Like, my body was open and exposed, and nothing was sterilized, and I had this white light experience, and I was just like, okay, either kill me or fix me.
Yeah.
Like, don't leave me in limbo. Don't let me hear my mom say, take me instead.
Yeah.
Don't let me see my sisters, like, and all of my family. These are people that rely on me. Like, since I told you, since I was a young age, since the age of 14 when I was first diagnosed, like, I would take care of every medical, legal, business venture that any one of my family members would have to go through. So for them to lose me was like losing the head of the family.
Yeah. So you were in a coma for 3 days.
I was in a coma for 3 days.
Do you remember waking up from that?
I do. And it's funny how you said you remember April 21st, right? Mine was July 15th.
Okay.
July 15th, I still celebrate. I call it my rebirth anniversary.
Absolutely. What year?
2002.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
2002. And people were taking turns trying to monitor me. They didn't know that I was going to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did wake up, July 15th is my best friend, my closest cousin. It was her birthday. And I had no idea that it was her birthday because I was in a freaking coma. I didn't know what day, what year, who the fuck I was.
Yeah.
But I woke up and I opened my eyes and I saw her and I was like, happy birthday, Allison.
And you didn't even know? You just woke up and you knew?
I just woke up and I said, happy birthday, Allison. And she sprung up, started screaming, ran laps around the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, in utter joy and fear and disbelief all in one. She couldn't contain herself. She's like, Lana's awake, she's alive, she knows my name, she knows it's my birthday. I had no idea it was her birthday, and I'm thinking, like, how the fuck did I know that? And the whole time I didn't know that, my family would sit down and they would read the National Enquirer to me. They would read People magazine to me. They would put on the news for me and let me know, it's 9:00, July 14th, President, da-da-da-da-da. Like, they would talk to me as if I was still there.
Yeah.
Not knowing if I was still there. Like, the doctors couldn't even tell if I was brain damaged.
Yeah.
I don't know why they couldn't tell that. Or maybe my family's just retarded and they just didn't listen. Mm-hmm. But no one knew what was gonna happen if I woke up, if I would have any memory of anything, if I could ever talk, if I'd have any, like, motor skills. And for me to wake up and wish my cousin a happy birthday after being dead to them, it was insane.
That is insane.
It was absolutely insane.
So what was the date again?
July 15th. 2002.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Because okay, so you wake up, you somehow know that it's your cousin?
Yeah.
Your cousin's birthday.
My cousin Allison.
And she runs around, and obviously the whole family's there, and they're going nuts.
No, they're not.
It's just her.
It's just her. Okay. Because, the doctors begged my mom to go home because she, at that point, I had been in the hospital for 2 weeks. So the first week they thought they were draining the abscess, and then the second week was when they went in for surgery. And then 3 days after is when I died.
Yeah.
And I had to do the other surgery.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, I was I mean, well, during those 3 days, I was in a coma, and then I woke up. So I was there in the hospital for 2 weeks, and my mom was there every single day.
Yeah.
And she did not sleep.
Yeah.
So they begged her to go home, and the only person that she trusted to be there was my cousin.
Right.
Because she knew how close we were. We're just 1 year apart.
Yeah.
And
Obviously, and you guys are still close.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because she's half black and half Filipino, and I'm half Irish and half Filipino.
Yeah.
And we both speak Tagalog fluently.
Fluently, yeah.
So we freak everyone
That is
out.
funny. I can't imagine that scene.
Oh my god. And she's like a 300-pound like lesbian.
Yeah.
Butch.
Jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm the complete opposite. I'm like this petite white,
Yeah.
like cheerleader type. So our dynamic is unreal, and our bond from then on has been so great. Like no one could touch us. But
Yeah.
like as soon as I woke up to her, she curses me every day. Not every day. Every birthday she has on July 15. Instead of me wishing her a happy birthday, she's like, "Fuck you, bitch.
Yeah.
This was a day you died. I mean, this was a day you woke up after you had died."
Right. Is she in LA?
Yeah, she's still in LA.
Okay.
But like on July 15th, that's when I swore to myself that on that day I would be in a different spot in the world.
Awesome.
Every year. And what year are we in now?
2002.
No.
Oh, right now, 2018.
Like what? We're still there?
Yeah.
Now, 16 years later, I'm still traveling, and I've been to 84 different countries.
That's insane.
Yeah, it went from going to...
Yeah, I actually wanted to, because I have a confession. When you told me that you were deceased and came back, and I've always been curious about that experience, but...
I did?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
What did I tell you?
You told me on Messenger, and I was curious about it, but I didn't want to
pry.
I didn't want to pry, and the timing had to be right. Like you said, you don't talk about this very often.
No.
I don't imagine it's something anyone like talks about very often. But I also knew that changed things for you. You can't come out of that not changed. So I definitely want to get into how you mentally shifted after that. But I know that I myself was curious, and my listeners will be curious, and you kind of answered the question already, because one of my questions was, what was it like? Did you see anything? And you answered that, because I've had lots of near-death experiences.
Really?
Oh yeah, I've had, like, outside of the transplant, I was like uncouth and wild in my own ways, and each one is different. Like, so for example, one time it could be like a near wave crash, or if you're stuck in the impact zone in the ocean, or I was like, as a teenager in most of my 20s, just doing dumb shit, and sometimes it's terrifying, sometimes it's very calming. Like, sometimes it's like, okay, so this is it, but then it's not it. Sometimes it's like, oh fuck, but then somehow it's like, so each one is different. Thank God I never actually like went beyond, and with the transplant, I just remember them taking her in at 7 a.m. They took me in at 9 a.m. and they were just like, my name is blah blah blah, I'm here to help you relax, and they had the gas mask, and I'm just like, I'm tough, like it's not gonna put me out, and they're like, yeah, just count backwards from 10, and I'm like, okay,
that.
and so 10, 9, 8, and then all of a sudden I'm in a completely different room. Yeah. It's light became dark. It's 7 a.m. became 3 p.m. and it's as if you just blinked your eyes and opened them. So it's it's not like
you remember. I remember 7 p.m.
I remember 7 a.m.
knocked out.
Going out,
7 a.m.
Yeah, going 7 a.m. and then waking up at 3 p.m.
What were you looking at?
There was the fucking wall clock. Like, I wake up and the fucking clock's right there.
Shut up.
Yeah, it was in UCLA, and so, but it's not like when you get a full 8 hours of sleep, you're well rested. You wake up and you have 8 hours.
You slept.
Yeah, but with this, it was literally like you blink your eyes and open them, and then you're in a completely different room. Your body is different.
You're in a different world.
The people you were talking to, and the hustle and bustle of the operating room is gone. Like, you're just in this quiet, dark post-op room.
Oh my God.
in the blink of an eye, and so, but that wasn't, and you learn in nursing school like that they, and
I forget you went to nursing
yeah,
school.
I forget too, yeah, but like, anesthesiologists get paid a lot of money because they essentially handle drugs that can fuck up a human like that, because I was terrified that there are chemicals out there that can do that, and they tell you that these things artificially. They artificially kill you. You are clinically deceased for the amount of time they are.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because and because they have to. You can't feel anything. They have to put stuff in to breathe for you. Like it's nuts. Like that's how it was explained to me. And I remember waking up. First of all, multiple things happened. I remember waking up, and when you're on dialysis, I felt half alive. Like I felt like I had one foot in this world and one foot in the other world. It's just terrible. And I know that you can relate.
Going through chemotherapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when I woke up, I felt alive again. Like I woke up and it felt like an explode. The only way I can describe it is that an explosion happened like inside right below my belly button, and it just
like you just have so much shit to do. Like
yeah,
I gotta go now.
Right. Well, it was more like I was alive. Like I got my soul back, and so where one foot was out, the next foot I woke up again, and I had both. I everything was back. Like I was back, and so
that's pretty vivid.
It was cool. Yeah, and then, but then also I couldn't move. Like I couldn't talk. I couldn't raise my hand, like I couldn't do anything, and the nurses in front of me.
Did you try?
I did try.
Do you remember?
I remember it all. I remember all of it, because they're just like.
So the sensation of wanting to do something or feeling like you are doing something but you're not.
Yeah, it's the worst, and it's funny. Well, it's funny to me because.
Funny.
I knew that.
That's the last word.
I know. Yeah, because I knew that eventually it would be funny, because in the moment the nurse was like, do you feel any pain? And I was like, yeah. And I tried to say yes, but I couldn't, and I just kept trying, and I just kept trying. And then they're like, okay, and so I just nodded, and they're like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is your pain?
Did they make you blink your eyes?
No, because I was literally trying to say 9. I was trying to say my pain is at a 9, because the longer the longer I stayed awake, the more I could feel what they did. And I could feel it's not 12 inches. Yes, it's not 12 inches like yours, but it was like literally from the top of my bladder all the way up to like my right iliac fucking crest, right? So that's what that scar is, and so I felt it. It's as if somebody stabbed me and just kept like, and which is truly what they did, and then so I'm trying to say 9, I can't, so I literally just do this. I just raise up both my hands and 5 on one hand and 4 on the other. 4 on the other hand.
Don't raise up your digits.
And then
for real.
Yeah, and then the nurse was like, I could see the horror on the nurse's face, and she's like, okay, let me see if the doctor prescribed any pain for you. And she looks, and I could tell the doctor didn't prescribe anything. So she's trying to run out the door. I can't.
Holy shit! So you're waking up without any pain medication in you?
And so
no.
I'm following her out with my eyes. I'm following her to the door, and who's standing at the door but my mom, who I love to death. But of course, she's fucking frantic as fuck, right? And
of course they are.
I'm Zeb's mom. I'm a nurse. What are you doing here? And she just goes nuts on this person. And in my head, I'm trying so hard to be like, Mom, let the nurse go.
Calm down. She could do her job.
Let the nurse go so she can get my meds and give me my fucking pain meds. And she's just railing into this poor nurse, right? And I'm just like, I'm trying to, I'm looking around. At this point, I'm looking around for a cup or a vase or something to throw. Because I'm at the bed and they're at the. My mom has.
Pay attention.
Yeah, my mom is stopping this nurse from doing what has to be done, and so I'm trying so hard
How
to.
How old were you?
I was April 21st, 2004. So I was 23.
Oh my god.
And so I'm trying so hard to like get their attention or something, but I don't remember that. Like the point is not that. The point is I don't remember passing. You remember it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hi, Teddy. Hi.
Yeah, life did not stop.
Yeah.
It.
I've always been curious about that because I always assumed that there was. That's kind of the great curiosity of the ages, right? In that, is there something?
Is there life after death?
Is there life after death? And if so, can it be experimented in that? Can a human go and come back? Because it's very rare that a human can go and come back. And I've always wanted to. This is gonna sound weird. I've always wanted to meet one. I've always wanted to like
a transient.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
someone who's gone between realms.
Right. And so did he have to use that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back and talk to you guys in a bit. And we're back. So Just to review, we went over Lana's white light experience, and I told her that I've also had a lot of near-death experiences, but I never passed, thank God. And the closest I've come to it was actually coming back from a surgery, and how I told her that I've always wanted to meet someone who has passed and come back. It's always been a curiosity. And so when she actually did tell me about it, it was emotional and it was harrowing and it was hard for me to listen to. But I think it was also, it was a long time for her, so I needed it. But now I want to talk. Now I want to talk about how it affected you, because I remember when I woke up from mine, I knew that life wouldn't be the same afterwards. I'm a very stubborn guy, so my dream was to be a Navy SEAL or Marine Force Recon Marine.
Are you a Taurus by chance?
I'm a Libra.
Oh my God.
So, and so for the time I was 17, when they said I couldn't serve, all the way up until when I was 23, when my kidneys failed, I truly in my heart believed that I still had a chance, even though kidney failure was looming. So it wasn't until I woke up that I realized that I had no chance, or that I am now, even if they gave me a chance, I would not take it, because the kidney is in the front of my body. It is unprotected. I have to take meds for life. If I somehow got what I wanted and became a deployable asset, I would actually be a liability in combat, in an actual tactical operation. I wouldn't want that for any force. You actually
thought that in a hospital bed?
I mean, you
were bummed out that you couldn't?
Yeah, not in a linear fashion like that, but as time went on, I still searched for what I wanted, which was only that. Yeah, and so basically after that, that's when I had to decide.
Wait, why at 17?
At 17, I tried to. I have a late birthday, so when I graduated high school, I tried to enlist in the Navy, and then that's when they found proteinuria, which is protein in my urine, which is indicative of a kidney malfunction.
Holy shit!
So they said I couldn't try again so they said try again in 2 years. I came back 2 years later, and it was the same thing, and then they permanently disqualified me. Broke my heart, and then I wrote senators and I wrote congressmen, and all
You
they did.
did?
I did, yeah. And then they had me. All they could do was have the military processing center give me another shot. So they're just like, look, we can play this game over and over again, but the truth is, you're not going to get in. You should actually get this kidney thing looked at.
Wow.
And try, just like you, try telling that to a 17-year-old multi-sport playing, paramilitary group joining red-blooded male. Like, there's no fucking. I was in complete denial. So, yeah, but
that's insane.
Yeah, but that's how it happened for me, and like, I was forced to look at what it was about the military that I really liked, and I think I actually, in some way, I actually found a lot of it, if not the core of it, with what I do now. I love the discipline. I love the training. I love the bond that's formed with people who go through stuff together. Being a trainer with a method like CrossFit actually fulfills so much of that and more.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah, and
okay.
So it makes sense. And so it's like I can't not do it, but I want to ask you, because after you told me that you had clinically died and came back, and things changed for you. You said you became a writer and you traveled more. So could you talk about that? Like, you woke up from your coma and you're like, how did that, like, how did Condé Nast happen?
Well, it's funny how you talk about the military like that, because when I was diagnosed at 14, I knew at that age I wanted to join the Peace Corps.
Interesting.
So I told my mom, as soon as I turn 18, I'm going abroad, or I'm going to either join the Peace Corps or Habitats for Humanity.
Yeah.
Like, what teenager thinks about that on their own without being pushed to do it
Right.
by their family members or someone they know?
Right.
And, it was mostly superficial when they told me, I was going to have surgery. Like, oh my God, there's going to be a hideous scar on me. No one's ever going to think I'm pretty. No one's ever going to think, I'm sexy or whatever. Yeah. Like, okay, that was... haha, funny, Lana.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Like, that was the least of my worries.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, when I had my first surgery at 14, I wasn't thinking my life was going to be over, even though the doctor said this is an incurable disease. I was thinking the whole time, yeah, okay, incurable for now, but you'll figure it out by the time I get older, right? Like by the time I'm 15, 16, 17, you'll find a cure. There's a cure for everything. It's not a big deal, It's not cancer. It's not irreversible. It's not. I mean, you'll fix it.
Yeah.
And it's always been in the back of my head that it's only been since 1973.
Yeah.
That Crohn's has been really under a magnifying glass and studied. And now it's like every time I watch TV, there's a commercial for a new drug out there for Crohn's disease. And I've tried them all. I've been the guinea pig for it all. I'm like in the medical books, Kaiser Permanente, Cedars-Sinai, Mount Sinai in New York. So when I'm not in the hospital, I'm fighting doctors constantly. They tell me just stay put. You're going to just shave off time of your life if you keep traveling. If you keep telling things we tell you not to do, you're going to die. And I keep telling them, well, I'd rather die living than wait to die.
Yes. Amen.
And not have anything happen to me.
Right.
So
you realized this at 19?
Yeah. Well.
14.
Well. Gradually, yeah. I mean, from 14 on to in 2002 is when it hit me hard. Mm-hmm. That I wasn't normal.
Yeah.
What the fuck is normal anyway?
Yeah.
But it just, it had been embedded in my head so much that, you're not going to live an ordinary life. You're not going to be ordinary. So I just said, well, fine. I'll be extraordinary.
Yeah.
That's the life I'm going to lead then.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to tell me that that I'm just going to sit down and take it.
Yeah.
Like, if I could still stand, I'm going to stand.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, while I'm standing, I'm going to test running. I'm going to run. If I could run, I'm going to fucking jump.
Yeah.
So it's just been, oh God, my family hates me.
Yeah.
They hate me so bad. They wish that I could just stay put, but...
No, but I think it's great, and that's what I want to dig into, because a person doesn't have to go through what you went through to appreciate and enjoy life, right? And to take stuff for granted. I once had, one of the most horrifying things that was said to me was from my kidney donor, where we're talking about stuff, and I told her how much it meant to me that she saved my life.
I'm gonna kill this dog. Sorry.
It's okay. How much it meant to me that she saved my life, and that she said, "I wish I had an experience like that to figure stuff out." And I'm like, "No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You do not want an experience like that. No, nobody does." But nevertheless, it happened, and so that's the crux of what I want to get into, because
maybe people just want to feel like they have meaning in their life, and when they see someone tortured with a disease or something that they can't help but they choose to rise above it, people pray for that kind of strength.
Yeah, it's certainly admirable, and it's a source of inspiration for sure. I understand that. But one of the things you wrote was, if there is some way that your story can help, let you know. And so this is me letting you know, right? But I'm also curious too, because did you want to be a travel journalist before?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, my God. I went to school for business management. I was a Wall Street broker when I graduated from Loyola Marymount.
Got it.
I was recruited by Citigroup.
Okay.
I was happy and content with being in a cubicle, running numbers for somebody else, as long as I get a 6-figure salary, and could live a lavish lifestyle. That was the extent of where I thought my life could be.
Okay.
like yachts, planes, just everything superficial. And then that surgery happened, and it wasn't a curse, it was a blessing.
Yeah.
If that never happened to me, I would have never seen the world. I would have never been brave enough to go to, like, the furthest I went before the surgery was Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Really?
But, yeah.
Wow. You had no aspirations to travel?
None.
Okay.
And no one in my family did either. Like, we went to Las Vegas and San Diego. Those were our extreme out there trips. Hawaii wasn't even, like, a destination because it was so far beyond our reach.
Yeah.
That I didn't even want to think about it because, it would suck to want something you can never have.
Yeah.
Or to do something that you never could attain.
Yeah.
But then my first year after, so 2003, July 15th, I took all of my clothes, put it in a storage unit, took a 40-pound backpack, went to Europe for 3 months.
Awesome.
And just went from hostel to hostel.
Wait, when was this?
A year after my surgery.
Awesome. So was that just a fuck it moment, or you planned? Okay.
It was like the year anniversary was coming up.
Yeah.
And I thought, what better to commemorate, losing my life.
Yeah.
And having people tell me you can't lead a normal life than to say, fuck you.
Yeah.
You can't tell me what to do, and I'll show you.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of being crippled by the diagnosis, it strengthened my beliefs, my core, like every fiber of my being was just aching to try something new.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to do anything new before.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. So 3 months in Europe was your first out. Like
yeah.
Okay. When did Condé Nast come into the picture?
Oh, they came into the picture like 8 years later.
Oh wow. Okay. So by the time they came into the picture, you had already been well traveled.
Yeah. I mean, I was still on Wall Street.
Yeah.
And one of the people that I had recruited joined Condé Nast as a travel, like an editor.
Okay.
And during her lunch break, she was looking through my Facebook page. I told you that during our outing in Culver City.
Yeah.
And she was looking at pictures of me in Antarctica. And the chief in... Was that Teddy? The editor-in-chief was like, who is that?
Yeah.
What is she doing? Where is she? Mm-hmm. Like, is she in Alaska? Like, where is she? Like, no, she's on a glacier in Antarctica on a Russian science researcher ship.
Yeah. Awesome.
Like, what the fuck is she doing there?
Yeah.
Like, well, she just wrote all of these random captains to see if she could tag along, and one of them just said, yeah, you could come on my boat.
Awesome.
And I was in an icebreaker ship. Yeah. And then after that, they just said, well, can you write about your experience? And I wrote about my experience. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, damn, you could write. Yeah. How about we send you to this country and write about that?
Good. And you're like, sure.
Yeah. I was like, you're paying? Uh-huh, I'll do it.
Awesome. So you were doing Wall Street and writing for Condé Nast?
Yeah. Good. For the first, 2 years.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it was just the offers just kept coming in to travel just far off destinations. It's just so wild.
Awesome.
No, it's scary.
I mean, it is scary, but that was the point, right? Like, how long did you last, and how long did you do both?
Just for a couple years.
Okay. And you quit Wall Street.
Yeah. And I got out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. That's important. That's awesome.
Well, I'm out of my comfort zone right now talking to you. I don't talk to people. Like, people don't know this. I don't open up to anyone.
Yeah. Fair warning, listeners, I did ask her if anything was off limits.
I said no,
she
and
said
I regret
nothing.
that.
She didn't know. She wasn't ready.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I mean, because sometimes I feel like not alone. I know I'm not alone, but I feel it's very hard to transmit the message of living in the moment and making the most out of every moment and not being afraid to go after what you want. And it doesn't take a life-threatening or near-death experience to realize that. We live in America. It's 2018.
Yeah.
Everything is awesome.
Oh yeah.
The world is connected in ways that it's never been connected before. The internet has provided opportunities where there were no opportunities before.
It's at your fingertips,
yes.
people.
All you have to do is work. All you have to do is plan it out and do it. So that's, I mean, I'm basically, yes, it was important to know what you went through, and yes, it's important to get the lessons gleaned out of it, but ultimately the message is still that you can have it, and it's yours if you want it. And I was sad because that's still a message that I'm struggling to transmit. Like, I remember when I went to Paris and I went to Norway. When I was in Paris, a lot of people reached out to me and they were like, I want to go, I want to do it. And I'm like, what's stopping you? And there were two groups of people. Half of them was like, oh, I'm married with children. And the other one, who weren't married with children, said it was time and money.
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm like, okay, because in my head I get it, but then I don't, because the ones who are single but don't have time and money, soon you are going to be married with children, and then
all your money has to go to your family.
Yeah. And so unless they accept that they're just going to have to live vicariously through it, because I'm not going to stop traveling. In fact, I'm going to travel more. I know you're going to travel more. And so I wanted to get into the mindset, and I wanted to get into what goes on, you know, like behind the scenes as far as what goes on.
Well, if you want to be real, look at both of us. We're
Sure.
in our mid to late 30s.
Yep.
Are we married? No.
But here's the thing too, because Troy, one of the co-owners of the gym, just had his first kid, as a boy, and the kid has seen like 6 or 7 countries.
Oh gosh.
You know what I mean? And before he turned 1, and I remember asking Troy before I think the child was born, before the kid was born, I'm like, you and Christina travel a lot. Like, are you going to be able to do that when the kid is born? And he's like, one of the reasons I'm traveling a lot is because he's prepping himself. Exactly. Yeah. He's prepping to not travel at all once the kid's born. And so.
Oh, that's fun.
That's like kind of weird, but it didn't happen like that. They didn't stop traveling. So, yeah, I still contend that plan it out, save it up, and just do it. You know what I mean? And so.
Yeah. I mean, we grew up in the days where, you know, people would save up for 10 years.
Yeah.
For one single trip. Whether it be to Hawaii or Europe or Disney World.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we're pooling all of our life savings. We're going to bring the family. Mm-hmm. We're going to have this one spectacular vacation. Mm-hmm. And it's going to last 7 days. And then those 7 days of vacation, that's what you're going to look back at life at and say, that was the greatest time of my life. Why can't you do that every year?
Yeah. Why
can't you do that like every other month?
Yeah.
I'm not bringing him next time.
That's funny. Okay. We have a dog. There's a dog here.
My dog Teddy, who was a mistake to bring because he's scratching and being annoying.
I love dogs. But because here's another thing. I didn't know the logistics. I didn't know the terms or the agreement or the extent to which Condé Nast helped you with your traveling. Because for all of mine, it's been I plan it out, I save up for it, you know, or I have friends plan it out, or I have friends invite me, you know, and we just go, right? And so I don't plan on stopping that. And is it a lot of money? Sure, but I know people blow their cash on other bullshit that serves them no good at all, which is, you know, whatever. But as time goes on, one of my goals is to actually travel more, not less. You know, get more time and more money, not less. Be more happy and more fulfilled, not less. And to actually work harder at stuff that I love working hard at, and to never turn away from pain and never turn away from the lessons that life will always give us, because it never stops. And
I could see how like having a family could be I hate to use the word hindrance.
No,
but
I mean,
like before Condé Nast came along, I went I would work for 9 months at a time.
Yeah.
Knowing I would quit that job.
Yeah, that's funny.
After 9 months, so that I could travel for the next 3 months of the year.
Sure.
So I was so scatterbrained. Nothing was ever planned. I didn't go your route at all. I didn't say, okay, this is the place where I want to be. This is how much I have to save, and this is the time allotted that I could do that in.
Yeah.
I was more like, okay, I'm gonna get a job, and I've never. I was gonna say audition. That's not a word.
Yeah, that's okay.
Interviewed. I never interviewed for a job without getting it. I got each and every job I've ever interviewed for.
Awesome.
To leave within a year.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I mean,
it's awful.
No, it's not. They understand that too. It's not
no,
like they don't.
Because the first interview question they would ever ask is, "What is your 5-year goal?"
Sure.
What do you see yourself doing? Like, what impact will you have on this company in the first year that you're here? Like, well, buddy, I'm not gonna make it a whole year here.
Yeah, but also too, they're also dealing with hundreds of applicants who are also trying to, get in and say the right things.
Well, the fucked up thing is, I was in human resources.
Oh.
So I would be the person hiring those people.
Got it.
And I wouldn't interview for jobs that were just there for just anyone to get. It would be a job that others depend on to have, their family set with.
Yeah, I get it.
So I left a lot of people high and dry, which is fucked up now that I'm saying it out loud.
It's the jungle. I mean, they'll forgive you.
It was New York. Yes, It was a concrete jungle.
They'll forgive you.
There's a lot of hate out there too for people that can't do it or won't do it for whatever reason.
Yeah, you can't make a stand and live life on your terms without inspiring fire and drawing fire.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like
I said it.
I invest 0 in my haters. Like and if anything, I get worried when the stuff that I'm doing isn't met with criticism. But
really?
I'm also lucky because a lot of my circle respects me and loves me, and so they know to.
That might be the male ego in you then, because
sure.
With me, any hateful thing, I silently cry to myself, saying, "Why do they have to hate on me for?
Yeah.
They could do it if they wanted to."
Yeah, it's not.
It's hard to brush off
it is.
People rooting for you to fail.
Yeah.
Especially when your life is already deemed
over.
I mean, it's basically my entire life. My entire adult life has been doctors saying, your life is not going to be worth living.
Yeah.
Is what it comes down to. In the back of my head.
Sure.
Which is why I fight and struggle so much to say, no. This life is worth living. And I know I have to do so much more and try 10 times harder than anybody else to experience what I've experienced. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, you should.
And with each success makes every struggle I had to get to that much sweeter.
Yeah. No, it's true. And like how you said hindrance is the wrong word for a family. Like I feel like getting off is the wrong word when I have people who are like who will come out as my haters someday. But I'm just going to use it because I can't think of one right now, but I get off on that. Like I get off on
Really?
I get off on people saying like you can't do this or you shouldn't do that or I don't see how this is possible.
So in your mind you're thinking, oh yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so,
Watch this.
Yeah, it's like 70% for myself, 30% for them, when it really should be 99% for myself and 0.1 for them. But
right.
Yeah, but I also know they're not really mad at me personally. Your haters are not mad at you personally. They're mad at the fact that they can't look at themselves and admit that they can do it as well. That reality is too hard for them to accept, and so they have to project their inability to deal with it onto someone not them because they can't take responsibility. And so I know this. I just know it. And it shouldn't it hasn't stopped me. If anything, it helps. It actually helps me.
But you don't succeed every time. What if?
Of course not.
When you're showing someone, like, look what I could do, and then you fail.
succeeding every time is not the assumption that's to be made. What's the assumption to be made is that you can win. And the champions of any sport, or the CEOs of any company, or the winners of any endeavor, I promise, have not gotten there on their first, second, third, fourth, fifth try. It's always been their 100th try. You know what I mean? So
nothing happens overnight.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that, it's not the idea that it's not based on the assumption that I'll never fail. It was never about that. That's why the importance of ignoring it and keeping going has to be on the forefront, because you will fail, and you're going to fail more than you win. But just to put it
I wish people would. I mean, I wish we grew up like that.
I know,
like you're gonna fuck up so many times. You're gonna screw up so many times before you get the outcome you want.
Yeah.
And honestly, the outcome is probably something you never even thought
Exactly.
of. But you're
Yes.
gonna feel so blessed and so lucky and so happy you're at where you're at, and you never even knew that you wanted it.
Yes.
It's wild.
It's wild. It's insane. And like even from a business perspective, the two biggest jumps and two biggest, I guess, bull rhythms I've had in business was from a hater of mine, not from
anyone encouraging
exactly
you.
right. Yeah, not from my most fanatical fans. So like it was from.
Why is that? We not ignore, but we tend to like shush down the cheerleaders in our life and go, yeah, okay, I get it. You want me to succeed.
Yeah.
But then if we hear a hater saying, like, you can't do it, I'm like,
Oh,
you
fuck.
want to prove that
Yeah.
bastard wrong.
Yeah. I mean, just to be fair, I
harder
love.
than you want to, appease your cheerleader.
Sure. No, I mean, to be fair, I love the people that are on my side. I love every last one of them.
Of course.
You
Can't be who you are without them.
Right.
Without them cheering you on.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, and so I understand that there's a lot of people out there who have a hard time with the haters, and it's the idea of like developing fucking rhino skin and just like moving forward, and that's not, and I didn't have an easy time with it in the beginning either. It's just something that I had to learn and something that I had to accept.
Who is hating on you that you have this?
Well, I can't.
No.
Yeah. I'm not gonna give them notoriety by
no.
mentioning their name here. But a lot of it has to. I think over the years, I've learned to tell from the start who my philosophies and life path is aligned with and who it's not aligned with, and I waste zero time. Like if from the start I can tell, this is not going to work, or our trajectories are not on the right path, or we're gonna butt heads at some point. It's like, let's just call this now. Let's separate this now. Let's separate now. Like this is not going to work. It's fine. And and you're gonna, as you go on, you're gonna meet lots of people, and you're not gonna get along with all of them. And in fact, sometimes
I hate that. I'm a people. I am a people pleaser. I hate to admit that, but I do love, making people happy. But not everyone is gonna be.
No, and I don't see those two things as mutually exclusive. I think you can totally make people happy, without being a people pleaser. Because I actually, Lana, I see people pleasers as probably the third or fourth most dangerous people on earth.
Oh my god!
And the reason why is because if only for the reason that when in a leadership position or a position of responsibility, or when you're trying to make hard stuff,
that should not be in a leadership vocabulary.
No, exactly, because decisions need to be based on truth.
Fear over love, right?
And decisions need to be based on truth, and people pleasers do not tell the truth.
No.
If for that reason alone, danger.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Truth, I get you there.
Yeah, and I can't. So much of my personal and professional pursuits involve making big decisions. So I need to base them off truth.
So black or white? Do you think of yourself as a leader?
I mean, sure. I've always wanted to be free. I've always wanted to do my own thing. But the fact that I'm not going to sit here and deny that I'm in a leadership position and I'm in a position of responsibility for a lot of people, just by virtue of people trust me with their health, people trust me with their fitness, people trust me with their secrets, people trust me with their mental stability, people trust me as a friend. People look to me for direction and like in default terms in social settings. So
I was just gonna use that exact term. I'm like, by default.
Yeah. So I was really uncomfortable with it in the beginning. I kid you not. But I was in a military program as a teenager, and I think that's where I realized it. And they were just like, Pasquale, because they only use your last names.
Yeah.
So they're like, Pasquale, you have to, first of all, they said that I was good and that I was a natural, and they harped on me because they're like, what are you doing here? You're too smart for this.
What?
And I was just like, that is bullshit. I just want to be one of you, I said, you know? And so...
At what age?
I was 15. But they were just like, our job here is to, among other things, train and raise leaders. And so there wasn't a guy there that lasted, that was worth anything, that did not hold a leadership position outside of there. And so...
Well, how does that play into you being... You were an only child.
Yeah.
So you had no basis for comparison.
Zero. Nothing. All I have are... So, for example, in high school, I don't know if you ever knew this, I ran for freshman class president.
No, I didn't.
I was a Filipino class president for like 2 seconds. I was honored, but enjoyed it not at all because I didn't know what I was doing. And then... Did
you do it for a popularity contest or something?
No, I actually...
Why?
People actually nominated me for 2 or 3 years in a row, and I had no idea why.
Really?
And so, yeah. And then after I graduated high school, I came back and I helped coach swimming and I helped coach wrestling. You know, and I used a lot of the leadership skills that I learned in the military program. So it's not something that I like sought. I always just sought to be free. But sometimes being free requires sacrifices, and not everyone's willing to do that.
What a conundrum.
But leaders do that. Leaders make sacrifices. Leaders take responsibility. Leaders make hard decisions. I can do those things. And at this point, I'm just used to it now, you know? And people can tell. So...
That's hardcore, Zeb.
Yeah, and like... Yeah, and so...
I have a newfound respect for you after you say that.
It's like, almost like, what was the level of respect you had for me before? I'm just kidding. But you're a leader too. That's the thing, Lana, because you're doing things that no one's willing to do. You're staring the objections in the face and doing it anyway. I can't imagine doctors and your family and friends being like, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't go here, you shouldn't go there.
But I do it to be a spoiled brat. I don't do it to make a point.
That's funny.
But see, I mean, we're both doing the same thing, but for completely different reasons. Yeah. How did we get there?
No, but like, I can't... What does being a spoiled brat mean to you? That you get to...
That I do what I want, I get what I want, and that's just the way it's always been.
Yeah, I see nothing wrong with that in the sense that...
You don't?
No.
That's awful. I would... I would never teach my children that.
So here's what I'm saying. Because the alternative for you in this situation is to...
Lay back and take it?
Take it, or live in what I call the perpetual gray death, which is 9 to 5. Don't travel.
Oh my God!
Don't travel 25 miles outside of wherever you were born or wherever you're working.
That's the most hated term.
Yes.
Like I've ever. Just you saying 9 to 5 just makes me cringe.
Yeah. And so I see that as like, you tell me what the alternative is, you know. And if being a spoiled brat means traveling a lot, going wherever you want, writing whatever you want,
not giving a fuck about what anyone else
right.
says. Okay, I'm a spoiled brat. I'm proud of it. Then.
See, and so call that spoiled brat. I just call that you are living life on your terms, which is the dream. Like, would you call? Because I'm not trying to do anything to prove a point. If there was a point that I was trying to prove, it's really that I'm like, on the macro level, I want to help prevent chronic disease and maybe reduce the national debt 20, 30 years from now. And there's like people. So, but I'm not trying to. The only people's faces I'm trying to rub my stuff in is the haters, which is like 1%.
Exactly.
I don't even give a shit. Like, I really, exactly. I don't care. So it's really because I'm grateful for the second chance I've been given. I love the fact that I have what I have in the fulfillment I get from my job, in the people that I'm surrounded with, and that they love me and I love them, and that they say that I've made differences, life-changing to them, and they've made differences to me. I'm grateful for that. And I want to live up to that.
That is the best feeling in the world.
It is. It really is. So
I think that's the reason why I travel so much. Because when I did that first year in Europe, and I did the 3 months tour, like, that was unheard of for anyone in my family and within my circle of friends. You knew my circle of friends in high school. Everyone was content in living in their childhood home in the valley. Not gonna name names, bro.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
It's like, okay, people did not want to go outside of borders, like outside of Reseda, outside of Van Nuys, outside of, counties. let alone across the ocean, across the globe. It was like, who would do that besides someone completely insane?
Right.
And when I came back from that trip, it would be like, it was just eye-opening, because people would tell me, like, I wish I could do that. I don't have the guts to do that. I don't have the money to do that. I don't have, there's always, I can't, I won't. It's like, just get rid of all of that. Just get rid of that language.
Yeah.
Just do it, and you won't have anything to complain about. Like, make yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Make yourself, like...
It's the best.
I can't find the words for it.
It's okay.
It is. It's the best feeling, and it's the most horrific feeling too.
It's it's kind of...
It's scary.
It is scary,
as
but that's...
hell.
Yeah, because what's not scary is the average, and what's not scary is comfortable. What's not scary is truly the perpetual gray death. And so if
Where did you come up with that term, by the way?
I think I was the perpetual gray death, because that's you're just like in the static state of existing, but not actually living. So if living outside of that is something you consider being a spoiled brat, and living within that is not being a spoiled brat, I will take the spoiled brat like right now, any day, forever. You know, and so yeah, it just happens to be I feel badly because it's not how I see that at all. You know what I mean? But that being said, you learned it from somewhere. Like someone had to teach you that. Someone had to teach you that living life on your terms and getting what you want is being spoiled. And
But does it take like being ill and being sick to be enlightened?
I want to say no. I really want to say no.
I want to say no too, but I won't be able to stick by that.
I've met some beautiful people, but it's hard to deny that being struck by a life-threatening prognosis or diagnosis or disease doesn't change you forever. Like one of my clients who I love so much just got diagnosed with cancer.
Really?
You know? Yeah, and like just proposed to his girlfriend, and
before he found out.
Before, and it just rocked us all. Like we were all just like stunned. I remember finding out before I had to teach a class, and so so people were like coming in, and I'm trying to keep my shit together. I remember that class. I wore my sunglasses inside a gym so that people wouldn't see me. You know what I mean? So they wouldn't see me reacting, but I could see it in everyone's eyes too, because people are just fighting to hold shit together. So like, yeah, it was bad, but. After that, making moves to leave his job, making moves to travel more, making moves to get wealthy. Oh yeah, like investing in himself, investing in his girlfriend, planning shit out. It's insane. So, do people need a life-threatening, disease or prognosis? No. But if it's gonna happen to you, because people can easily take it the other way, people can easily take that diagnosis and just spiral down into depression.
Right. What do you think the percentages of like for people that are hit with it?
Yeah.
How many people are the woe is me, and how many people go, I'm going to take this and like live life to the fullest?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to...
I know, I don't want to put a number
on it.
Exactly. Never mind that I asked that question.
Yeah. But no, are you happy you came on?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I didn't know how often you talked about this or not. All I know is that I tried to ask you in every way possible, multiple times, is there anything off limits? Are you cool with anything that I talk about?
You want to know I'm probably only telling you 10%.
Yeah, I believe that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've died a second time.
Really? Are you willing to talk about that now?
Let's be continued.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
No, and I haven't talked about like my prognosis now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on borrowed time. I'm living past my expiration date right now.
Yeah.
I should not, my voice should not be heard right now. Okay, that has to be another time because I'm just digesting everything that's leading up to.
Yeah. Okay.
You're insane.
That's funny. I think this is good though. Let's call it here. Do you have any advice for people who have been diagnosed with Crohn's.
With just Crohn's?
Just Crohn's.
That's a hefty question. I have to come back to you.
Okay, that's fine. How about people out there who are not doing what they want?
Well, when my doctors told me that I have just a couple of months to live, and instead of sobbing over it, I went to the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles, and I talked to the doctors, and I asked them if I could talk to, if they needed any help with any patients that have been newly diagnosed with either an incurable disease or an autoimmune disease or something that would potentially, just turn their lives upside down. And if I could somehow just soften the blow.
Okay.
And they're like, well, you're not a licensed counselor. You can't say that. You can't do that. I'm like, listen, if my living with Crohn's and living through chemotherapy isn't enough to tell someone or show someone that there is life to be had with a diagnosis, no degree is gonna substitute for that. Right. So after I told that doctor that, he called me like 37 times.
Wow.
Each time he had to tell a patient that they had cancer, that they had leukemia, that they had lupus, that they had something that they couldn't help, something that could just drastically change the way they meant their life to be. Mm-hmm. He'd come in and ask me to share my story, which I haven't completely shared with you yet because I just can't find the wording.
I understand.
But it comes so naturally to me when a kid is in a hospital bed, because I remember myself being in that bed thinking, hoping, wishing someone could tell me what's next, what's going to happen to me. Like, no one in my family had ever been sick. Mm-hmm. None of my friends had ever had anything traumatic happen to them. To this day, I only had one relative that's died on me. Yeah. And that's my 99-year-old grandfather. Yeah. So no one prepared me for it. And the fact that I'm able to talk about what I've been through, what I'm going through, and shed a light that, life does not stop there. It just makes, that's my purpose right now. It's to make people believe that they can do anything that they want.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's beautiful. If people wanted to contact you, if they wanted to ask you more questions or get you on some more interviews, do you have an email address or a...
I kind of want to do this with you again.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's do it again.
Next time I'll come prepared because, like I told you in the beginning, I hadn't even looked at the email that you sent me about the outline that we're supposed to go through. Yeah. I thought I could do it. I thought I could wing it.
That's okay.
And think like, oh, my story is easy. I'm the best one to tell my story. But then I get caught up on the emotion that I felt at that moment and completely lose what the message that I'm trying to convey, or I'm just at a loss.
It's okay.
So to be continued.
Okay. This is great. So are you is there a point of contact for you if people wanted to reach you? Or are you not, that's not...
Oh, no,
do you have
absolutely.
an email address or like an Instagram account or something?
Yeah, my face, Lana Beebe at yahoo.com.
Can you spell Beebe?
Beebe.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, through you, come on, just put my information up there.
I will.
Contact me, call me. I have pastors calling me. I have 3-year-old girls calling me that they go through radiation and they're like, is it normal that I can't eat? Man. And I'm like, of course it is. Let me just sit next to you and maybe this strawberry flavored Jello will help, and I'll just sit and watch TV with them, and they'll be like, oh, well, you look normal. I could be you one day, right? I'm like, yeah, you can be.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Lana.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being on the show.
That was scary.
We'll do it again.
Yeah.